Pam L will be leading the lab today. Pam is
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
leading the lab today. Pam is a facilitator, communication coach, as well as a consultant who offers deep expertise in presentation skills. She draws on more than 30 years experience working across many industries as she's leading us today. Pam began her career working in healthcare IT. Pam's a professional member of the National Speakers Association and has coached TEDx speakers and trained numerous senior leaders. When she's not working, you can find her competing in triathlons or climbing mountains. Please welcome Pam.
Darn.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to start out by addressing the elephant in the room, which is that all of us have technical backgrounds, correct?
Yes.
And so I know you're really excited to be here for me to kick off this session today about presenting and presentation skills, right? Everybody's excited? Yay!
Yeah.
This is the elephant in the room. I will never forget my very first, it wasn't my very first, but it was one of my first presentations as a technical person. I had to present to a potential client and all about this software package. I was scared to death. And I spent weeks preparing. I had all of the facts down. How I was going to talk about the capabilities of the software, all that it could do. I made sure that I was covering all those bases. I was really prepared. I had my presentation slides all together. Day the presentation came, I killed it. I did a great job. Even though I was really nervous, I just stated my presentation, what I knew, and went through all of that, and I left the room and felt like, I did a great job. I felt so good. I even talked to my boss afterwards, and he was like, you did a really good job presenting that software. Really good job. The next day we got the call and the client wasn't interested in our software. I was devastated, and I didn't really understand what happened. I forgot one thing, the client. That presentation was all about me. It was all about what I knew. It was all about the software and the capabilities. I was so self-focused and just on the facts of the case. I didn't have a consideration for the fact that the client, the people that I was talking to, were not the technical people. Like me, they weren't my peers. They were the people who really wanted to know the business case of how this software was going to improve their operations, how it was going to improve their ability to serve their customers. I didn't address any of that. That started a journey for me, seeking out how to really relate to my customer. What was it that was different? I had to step outside of myself and figure out who they were and really relate to what they wanted to know, how they wanted to be communicated with. Again, and many of us that focus on ourselves as we go to do a presentation, we're not thinking about anybody else. We're thinking about how we like to hear the information, how we like to be communicated with. But I came to realize through a lot of study and working with hundreds of people over the years that it's not about us. We need to make it about our client or our customer or the person that we're talking to. And there's lots of different profiles of behavior styles and the different things that you can take a look at. And that's going to be one of the focuses for us today. Not only figuring out who you are and how you like to communicate and be communicated with, but how can you give a good presentation based on who your client's going to be and what their profile looks like and what's important to them, what motivates them. It's probably not the same as you, and your presentation might be great for somebody who's exactly like you, but when you're presenting to somebody who's not like you, how do you change that? What do you need to do? What might be interesting to them? That's going to be a big focus of what we're going to do later today. We're going to talk about different behavior styles and how you morph or how you can change what you're saying to relate to them in a better way, not just be what you wouldn't want to hear yourself. I've seen this happen more recently outside of the business world too. When my husband and I climbed a mountain of all things, so unexpected. But we had 6 of us in a group, 6 friends, all different people, with 2 professional guides. It was a treacherous climb. We had a 3-day climb, and these 2 professional guides were tasked with bringing these 6 very diverse people together and helping all of us achieve this goal of summiting this mountain, which was 14,508 feet high. We had to be roped in for the last 500 feet. Somewhere around the time when they were handing out the helmets and the harnesses for the climbing gear, maybe I should have asked a few more questions, but I was just already with the group and we were going, and then, we got there. Honestly, it was the hardest thing I've ever done physically in my life, which is also mentally. And this is where the guides surprised me, because the whole time we're hiking in, spending the night, time together before our summit day, that second day, they were asking lots of questions. I didn't realize until afterwards, they were kind of profiling us a little bit. They were figuring out how they needed to relate to us the next day in order for us to overcome all the fears that we were going to have that they knew that we didn't know at the time, and how they were going to help motivate us and who they were going to put together. We were split up into 2 groups of 3 with each guide, and they put our weakest links for climbing the backside of the mountain when we were roped in. They put our 2 weakest links on with different teams. They didn't put them together. It was really interesting how they had observed our behaviors and how we interacted and divided us up based on that. So what we're going to study today really will help you in your job as you move forward. You have to give presentations, run meetings, and make sales, whatever your particular job function might be. But these skills, the information that you're going to learn is also going to help you outside of your work, maybe with your personal relationships, your friends and family. How do you communicate with them? Do you have some people that you have trouble with now? Maybe it's like just button heads. Maybe we can solve some of that today. And also on your teams in your communities. So I'm really looking forward to working with each one of you and helping you have an aha for yourself and figure out how you might be able to utilize the information we're going to cover to better relate to the people here at work, give your presentations with more orientation to your client, and also improve your personal relationships. Thanks.
Great.
I'm trying to get a little bit more into benefits, but should I stand up?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, otherwise you just disappear from the video.
Okay. Nobody's watching this, are they?
I might say, right?
No, you go ahead.
You stepped into the void, because tonight you wanted to support the group, so you said yes.
That's true.
Right. So I think maybe you've been a little bit behind. You went for it, which was great.
Thanks.
So you are probably as prepared as you probably normally would be.
That's right. First run through, decided my 2 stories this afternoon.
Yes, there's great content there.
Still working on them.
I love the idea. It's about you. It's about the group, the audience member, not you there. But I think at times you overplayed that a little bit. So
Yeah.
you kind of got worn out with that message.
Okay.
But
I'll see
the
that.
central core of that is vital.
Good.
Let's see. I like the story with your husband. Like you got, it was content, but there wasn't enough story. I know one thing about my mentor. He could tell a bunch of story and use a little content, to help engage the group there. So maybe more story in the beginning, more stories in the beginning.
Okay. Would you do more stories or maybe expand on? Because I really, if anybody was there, I did the mountain story and the other story. Yeah, it was much longer. Okay, the mountain story I did, and it was much longer than I did the first time, and it was really too much story that didn't matter. So I shortened that up, probably too much, and I need a little bit more story, and then thread some more content.
Yes, and the points you want to help the audience get, maybe use a story rather than tell them you're going to learn about this.
Okay.
Use an example to illustrate what they're going to do.
Okay. Yes.
I think I loved the story, and I thought it was just succinct enough, but you lost your transition. So you went straight out of the story into so what you're gonna learn here is, and
Which
it's
story, the first one? or second
the
one?
mountain story.
Mountain story
Yeah.
again, okay.
Yeah, and so it was kind of like, well, that was kind of cool, but then there was no like flow to, okay, how is that story going to inform what we're doing here?
Right, okay.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna work on it.
I love the phrase, I forgot one thing, the clients, right? I thought that was perfect.
Well, I have to give Jeff Justice credit because I practiced that story at ProPath on Saturday.
Yeah.
And he helped me try to think about pausing there and saying it like that. I
Yeah.
probably could still use a little more emotion. He's so
Yes.
out there that I need to work on. I know I need to work on that.
Yeah.
I'm always so serious, but I'm gonna get there. Thank you for the feedback.
That may not,
I think
that may
you're,
not be you though.
I was about to say.
Oh, I'm not Jeff, but I can be more me. I mean, if I'm at a party, I'm really
You
fun.
can, and that was.
No, I didn't.
Have a couple of shots before you do it.
No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it that way at
I didn't
all.
capture that soul.
I didn't mean it that way at all.
So, and I didn't think that you were overly serious. I mean, I thought that you definitely had some
Thank you. I tried to
serious
let it
tones, but
up.
I thought it was fine. It was very relatable.
Thank you.
You talk about technical people being a technical person. And I don't know why that phrase it's awkward to me.
Okay.
And I feel like there is another description. I couldn't come up with one for you. So maybe it's technologist, but then it's like, well, not some people don't even resonate with that.
Yeah.
So I don't again do with that.
And I might just cut that out.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, if you're more technically inclined or something, I don't know. It feels like a label that maybe isn't necessary.
Okay.
You're amazing delivery. You do a really good job in front of the group, and I'm so impressed that you did this on the fly. So yeah.
Challenging myself to just come up with stuff.
But you know what? This is how you learn. I mean,
I know.
this is how people grow, and I know that one of the challenges we have with the Speaker Lab group right now is that there are a lot of everybody puts so much weight on that speech, right? So sometimes, and Dr. Steve is probably the poster child for just go. If there's a spot open, take it. Just get. It doesn't matter what you've got prepared. Just go. So I applaud that wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
I thought you were awesome. It's funny that because seeing you after a little more relaxed,
Yes.
I do feel like you're holding yourself back. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like you were in your head.
I was.
You're thinking a lot, yeah. But I know that that's not how you would deliver it.
Right.
But I did want you to say I did notice that you were more in your head and less present with the story. I'm always so impressed by people, musicians, who sing the same daggone story for years and years and years and years, and every time they sing it, it sounds like it's the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they do it, and it's always impressed me, but I think it's sort of the same, the concept of that we have to do when we're speaking, right? So I don't know what, I'm preaching to the choir. I don't know.
Hopefully we're gonna get there, okay?
Yeah, I know, I'm praying.
I know.
For me. I loved the mountain story. I liked how you presented it, and you had a lot more emotion with it. There's a lot more flexibility in your voice. The first story, I got lost in it again. I feel like it needed to be tweaked in. I liked what Jeff had told you in that. I don't know if you recorded that or his feedback or not.
I did.
I would go back to that and just kind of listen a little more.
But I will.
The build up to it, there's a little bit too much build up in the beginning.
Okay.
For me.
About all that I did to get ready for the
Yes.
presentation.
Yes.
Yes, I felt that too.
Yeah. I thought you had great eye contact. I loved your hand gestures very much. One of the things when I'm shooting, there's a lot. I'm always looking for the right hand gestures, and not always this one or this one because it has bad implications, right? You don't ever want a picture of you doing this.
Right.
So I like that you had. Seriously,
I don't like the man on the castle. I know exactly what you're
Yes.
talking about. Yeah.
Yes. Or this. Never
Oh,
mind
yeah.
doing this either. That's what my editing is. Taking a this and this and this. But I saw you had some unique hand gestures that I really appreciated, and I would have been shooting all over that because you also were doing a great job of smiling and using those hand gestures, and obviously that's fairly natural for you. So,
Okay.
I did notice you were squatting a little bit when you were looking for words or something.
Okay.
The power pose, that's right. You guys all had the power pose going on.
Well, honestly, part of what I'm struggling with is what I do most of the time. Right now, the work that I do, because I haven't promoted my own work yet, the work that I'm doing, training, presentation skills, I'm so locked down that I'm really trying to get out from under that.
Yeah.
And so that might have been a little bit of me loosening up. I mean, I'm really consciously trying to get away from, because on stage presenters, all that doesn't matter as much, you know, but when I'm working with somebody that's going to be doing a PowerPoint and whatever, you exaggerate it so that they get some of it. And you always want to be the one that's a good example. So, I said so. Do I have any filler words? You didn't say.
You know, I missed it. I didn't catch your
I'll watch
filler
the
words.
video. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I hope I don't, but I might.
You're in the do.
Yes.
Usually filler words for me have like colors. I think.
You just see them.
That's it,
Yeah.
yes, that's it.
See me.
Right.
Me? Okay. Good opening with the humor. I really liked when you said the helmet and the harness, that kind of woke me up. You know what I mean? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe say something like, have you ever felt like, oh my gosh, this is really happening? You know, they handed me the harness and I'm like, oh, this is really happening.
Yes.
So, because that was great.
So play on that a little bit.
Yeah. Personal relationships, great example. You said you might be able to. I like when you said you lost a client. I always call losing the order.
Yeah.
Very powerful, and it shows that you're willing to say, hey, I'm not perfect.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And just maybe ask, get them mentally engaged with saying, have you ever, and it doesn't have to be have you ever, but when you say that, I think it gets everybody saying, yeah, you know what I mean? As opposed to, today you're going to be doing this, you're going to learn this. That makes sense?
Yes, that would come across.
But a great job, and I wrote, finally, because of what you just said, give yourself permission to let yourself be yourself.
Okay.
Just let it out.
Yeah. I have a question. As a part of the mountain story, I have some pictures that I was going to show. I think, who saw me do that? Okay. So I have one picture of the mountains as we were approaching, and then there's a reveal there, but I also pulled out some others. Do you think that would take, as I was talking, I was going to point out a couple people. I picture one of the guys. He was the guy that needed to know what time we were leaving and what the schedule was, and he's kind of keeping notes on a rock, at one of our breaks. He's keeping notes, and then there's another lady, and she was right up there with the guide. She would be the first one. She was going to summit or bust kind of personality. She was just up front. She's on the summit, hands up in the air, just triumphant. And I was going to use a couple of those to say, we had some very different people on this trek.
Mhm.
Not everybody was the,
You were
go.
there. You were
Yeah.
there telling that story.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know that.
What makes the diversity important?
The fact that the guides could handle all these diverse people
Okay,
to get us all to the same place.
okay.
We all had to summit, but they had to deal with each of us. We handled our fears differently, the whole climbing, the being roped in and climbing thing, the communication they had to do for that, the reassurance more for some than others, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I really do need to tie it in. After hearing our speaker this weekend, honestly, one of the things that I heard most from her at MSA, we had a lady who works with she owns her own speaker bureau, and one of the things she really emphasized was, why are people gonna have you speak? What's the value that you're providing? And I realized I love to speak, and I really need to hone in more on what is the value that I'm providing? What's the benefit to the people that are listening to me?
Yeah.
And especially in a keynote or a promotional talk idea, I need to get those value statements
Yeah.
down, which I don't have yet. But
I think in a lot of ways, maybe
Yeah.
what we do with TED really informs that
Yes.
like kind of getting it tight.
Mhm.
And I love the phrase when people can handle it. So I think with speakers, there are those that can handle the feedback and incorporate it, and then those that really get kind of weighed down by it.
Right.
But when people can handle it, it's constantly having somebody who asks the question, so what?
Right.
Why does that matter? As good a story as that may be,
Why is that?
why does it matter? And
that's
does it
what I want
deserve
with
the
every
space
piece
that
of
you're
my
gonna
talk.
give it? Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. Yeah, when you're
Not
doing
even
a
know
training
what-
class or a workshop, you're
Right.
filling time anyway.
Right.
Then you can do a lot of that extra stuff. When you're doing a 20-minute talk or a 30-minute talk,
Yeah.
you gotta tighten it up and get it really clear. So, yeah, I think finding a couple of people that'll just really get fierce with that question.
I'll bring the wine, you're invited.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Can we talk about the
Thanks for your
difference
feedback.
between a